It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thank you so much for joining us. We are joined by Bob Blumenfield. He is a member of the California State Assembly. We thank you, sir, so much for joining us. I know when I drive throughout the San Fernando Valley, I still see, are they called mobile billboards? And I don't really understand why, because I remember we spoke and you had sponsored a bill that was signed that I thought legalized mobile billboards. But?
Yeah, but it's been a cat and mouse game, and the blight merchants, and it's what I call the folks who are trying to profit by making our neighborhoods, filling them with these eyesores that take up parking spaces and are dangerous, are figuring out ways to get around the city law. So I had a bill that enabled the city to pass a regulation dealing with unhitched mobile billboards.
And that's the key, unhitched mobile billboards. It's literally just the sign on a bed that is just sitting there by itself.
Right. And there's some legal ambiguity. I thought it would cover as well if they hitch them, but the city attorney, and it's been such a litigious, the blight merchants.
These are litigious times.
Yes, and the blight merchants are very litigious. They're going after every little loophole.
They make a lot of money on billboards, mobile or otherwise.
Yeah, so they again, differentiating. These are not the commercial billboards that people, permit or bus billboards that are paid for in the city. These are basically rogue billboards where people go use up your parking space and end up not giving the city or the local community a dime for it.
Well, on top of it, I mean, it's not only just parking spaces, but it will literally be on the side of a street, and it will clog traffic. Sometimes you don't even realize it's there. You feel like you're about to hit it. But the good news is that you sponsored a bill to close a loophole. The governor signed it. Explain the loophole that's been closed.
So it makes it absolutely clear. So they were trying to get around it by hitching the billboards to vehicles, hitching them to trucks, in one case even to a baby carriage, and saying, oh, it's not unhitched anymore. Mm-hmm. So this bill is pretty clear and very direct. It says you cannot, if the primary purpose of this billboard is advertising, the cities can regulate it regardless of whether it's hitched or unhitched, and regardless of whether it's hitched to a motor vehicle, a bicycle, a tricycle. I mean, we spell it out, a Vespa, which is a lot of them are being, and then it says, or any other device.
And that bill goes into effect in January 1st, 2012. Interesting, you said it's a city decision, though. So it's not illegal in the state of California.
Correct.
It's now in the city's jurisdiction as to whether they want to allow mobile billboards.
Right. Both my last year bill and this year bill are opt-in bills. They're local choice bills. So if there's a community out there that wants these things, God bless them, they can have them.
I want to shift gears, if I may, and talk about the California state budget. I get monthly emails from the controller, and he tells me how much money the state has taken in. And I recently received an email from him, and it looks as if revenues are not coming in pursuant to desired projections. And as a result, we will face another deficit. Okay, but pursuant to the bill passed in June, the budget bill, that will result in automatic cuts once we don't see the revenue we expected.
Potentially
ready for that?
Devastating cuts potentially if we don't see the revenue expected.
And we're not.
But the key question is, it's not based, and this is a little bit of a distinction, it's not based on the receipts that have come in these last months, it's based on the projections for the upcoming year.
But if the receipts are not coming in as we expected, I can't imagine the projections will be where we want them to be.
Probably not, but the big months for the state are yet to come, and most of the money in the state comes from personal income tax, comes from capital gains tax.
Which is another issue, but be that as it may.
We have a very volatile system. It's way too dependent on those sources of revenues. But what that means really is that the determination of whether or not we're going to meet those goals and have to pull those triggers is much less dependent on the last few months' income than it is on the projected income, and that projected income is much more based on the markets. So if if we see the markets go up a little bit, we may not have to pull those triggers. If the markets continue flat or go down, then we might.
He's Bob Blumenfield. I'm Brad Pomerance. Back to HLN.